true gossip, with the truth and the gossip. Yo, that's a concept, it's not a complex. Keep your mindset on the truth and the gossip. It's not a contest, but a step in the process to get the truth and the gossip. Hey yo, from the house to the street, where the gossip meets the truth. Not a complex. Keep your mindset.
Hey, Happy New Year's, everybody. Welcome to 2021. This is season 3 of True Gossip, where gossip meets truth. And tonight's episode is 2020 Reflect and Review. We're going to go back to 2020, but we're going to move forward to 2021. So let's go ahead and start this introduction. We got Tajuddin Shabazz. We got Maria Benson. We got my first cousin, Ramel. And we're going to have the bishop coming on soon, and John Kinlaw. So let's kick off 2021. And don't forget, we want you to join this conversation. So dial in 410-305-9421 and put your information in the feed. We're going to try to get to you guys. All right? So let's roll.
Well, let's kick it off with our first question. First off, Happy New Year, everybody. And if I sound a little unlike myself, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'll get through it. So let's get right started. 2020 is a year that I think will go into the history books. We will never forget it. However, with that said, Tajuddin, 10 years from now, and looking back on 2020, what would you remember most and why?
I think I would remember I lost 22 friends and family this whole year.
Wow.
And only 2 from COVID-19. So on that note, 22 people I know transition, or as we say, return to the essence or passed away. So that's the most that I've ever had, friends and family and people that I knew, in this year. So yeah, that's what I'm going to reflect on in 10 years from now.
Wow. That's really, I hate to hear that, and my condolences to you and those families, but 22, man, that's like one every other week. That's a bit much. Maria, what would you remember most and why?
Wow. Tajuddin, I'm thinking about what he said. I did lose a lot of people in 2020. I mean, both family and friends. I don't believe that it was much, but it was a lot. And most recently, it's been like back to back to back. I lost 2 people just recently, like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And it was the COVID, it happened to be the COVID. But that's like the most worst thing that I remember. The best things that I would remember is that I have, 2 grandkids that was born this year. I mean, I have to look at it more positive, even though I did lose some family members and friends, but I did gain 2 grandbabies. So,
well, congratulations on that. And again, I extend my condolences. Tanya, what would you remember most 10 years from now about 2020?
Yeah, I'm with the rest of you guys. This COVID-19 and, we lost a couple of family members and some friends, and it was devastating. And living in a pandemic, something that happened 100 years ago, and now we living in the same thing. That's something that, I'm going to remember in 10 years and how we got through it, because this is something that, you cannot not forget, because too many things been lost, too many things happened, and the COVID and then this crazy president we had in the last 4 years. Now, I'm never going to forget that fool.
Looking back on 2020, and yeah, we We've had some deaths, and I know I did as well. But I just think, for me, what I'm going to remember most is just having life compromised.
Mm.
You know, when you think about it, we weren't able to do some of the things that you normally do freely. And I mean, there was a point where we were all on punishment. We couldn't go out, you know. So
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
I mean, it's one of those days where our life was definitely compromised. Our everyday life was compromised. You know, and maybe for some, it might have been an opportunity to read and get into themselves or be stronger. But definitely life was compromised. You know, we also saw history in 2020. Kamala Harris, the first woman vice president elect. That was history. Also being African American. Do you think she would be the last one, or will we see more women and maybe women of color with that position? Maria, your thoughts?
Well, usually when that happens, the vice president usually, gives the baton. I mean, the president usually gives the baton to the vice president. So, I'm looking at her like, as the next president, after Biden. If she was, if she's strong enough, when she come the right way, I see that happening. And I also see somebody as to being her vice president, being, a colonizer or not. I think it's going to be more women that's going to be more into politics. I think women are just going to push the men out.
Wow.
And within the next, 5 years, I think women are going to push the men out.
Hey, to the viewers out there, if you want to be part of the show, please call us up, 410-305-9421. And Crystal, she believes that we're going to see more women in that position. And I hope so. Women nowadays is very qualified to do jobs that supposedly a man's job, but women are definitely more qualified. And in some cases, they may even do a better job than the men, So kudos to Kamala Harris, and I hope that there's more to follow. Tajudeen, your thoughts on it?
We did see history being made. I always look at the point of whenever there's a problem, the universe has a way of solving that problem. So in that regards, I see Kamala Harris and Joe Biden as that answer or that solution. And especially when you coming in on a 4-year fool in a sitcom, it's easy to come in and make that change. Hell, I should have ran.
Your thoughts, and your thoughts, Tanya.
And everybody else, I believe that Kamala Harris, she set the bar high, and that women of color, young girls, I'm talking about the young girls coming up, those that have, they 5, 6 teenagers, they have someone that they can truly look up to, and they can say, you know what, I can do this. They had Barack, where the black men said, you know what, I can do this. I was hoping that we had more black men that was going to run for president of the United States when Trump term was up, when it was time for him to run again. But I believe that, this is, and even women my age, I believe that, we looking at her and saying, you know what, we got a chance. We can do this. We can make a difference and we can go for it. So I think there's going to be more of women like Kamala coming up and taking on that role.
I got a question. Kamala, is she a senator of Georgia? Is she anything to Georgia?
No.
She's nothing. So where is she from?
California.
Oh, so somebody's trying to get her seat.
Yeah.
In California.
Somebody already.
Somebody already got the seat though.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody already got her seat.
Well,
what?
We
So,
welcome. Go ahead.
so who's trying to get the Senate seat in Georgia?
Well, you got Warnock and Osnoff going up.
No, but who are they taking it from? Like who?
Purdue and
Purdue and Loeffler.
Loeffler.
Who is that?
They hold both of the seats out here in Georgia.
Wait,
Yeah.
I didn't know Ken.
Oh, that's Ken Law. Welcome,
I
Ken
didn't
Law.
know. I'm like, look
bro.
at none of y'all lips are moving, and I'm like,
Hey, Ken
I'm
Law.
like, wow, somebody's a ventriloquist. Okay, so they died or something.
No, Purdue was already the senator, and Loeffler, he came on as a senator early January.
Okay, so they just trying to get rid of him.
Loeffler ended up getting her Senate seat as almost like a replacement to a senator that had retired, I believe, or fell
that's
ill.
what I'm trying to figure out.
And so she's kind of like an interim senator, as you will. So right now she has to run as a legitimate senator, and it's not looking too good for her right now.
No.
Okay, I was trying to figure out because I'm like, somebody had to either die or retire or something.
Right.
Because I'm like, where all these Senate seats came from,
Right.
all of a sudden.
All right, so we're gonna move on, and we're gonna start with Ken Law on this one. The handling of the coronavirus by President Trump, was it A, negligence, B, to make money, C, incompetent, or D, all of the above?
All of the above. And to add E to it is what got Biden in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
You know, truth be told, I think that was a major deciding factor. The last thing he needed was this situation to take place during the election year. Prior to that, he felt like he already had the second term under wraps, and that's why he's fighting against the votes right now as a result of it. He clearly is one of those situations where he continued to hate against the previous administration. And I think that's what came back and bite him in the butt. He threw away the material that could have helped his team handle these type of situations. And he was so spiteful that I think that's what ultimately was his demise, his own spitefulness.
Tanya, your thoughts on that?
What was that question again, Ramel?
The handling of the coronavirus by President Trump, was it A, negligence, B, to make money, C, incompetent, or D, all of the above?
All of the above. I believe all of the above. And he was very incompetent. And the sad thing about it is that he knew the significance of this virus, and he knew in the beginning, how that it wasn't just a flu or anything like that. And he just kept going on saying that, it was going to go away, and then not getting the PPE to the people that needed that stuff. See, I work in the health field, and I understand the significance of having those PPEs and things that will allow people to be able to be safe. And him not handling that, and then not getting those ventilators, and then not using, what is that thing where, that you can put in power where people can, where these businesses can go ahead and mass produce this stuff and have this stuff out there to the people that need it. What is that, Ken Law? You know what I'm talking about.
Vaccines?
No, not the vaccine, where they can mass produce equipment and PPE and ventilators and stuff that
he withheld those ventilators, those PPE equipment, especially in the places like New York. If a governor wasn't showing favoritism towards him,
right,
he would withhold those devices,
and
he figured
like the
it was
Medicaid.
just a wrong gamble on that.
Being spiteful. Listen, we're gonna move on. Maria, let me ask you this. When the NBA decided to close due to coronavirus, and then they came back in the playoffs and they had a bubble situation down in Orlando, and the players was able to exercise their platform to promote Black Lives Matter, equality, and social injustice. And even in case with LeBron, he promoted his voted campaign. Do you think this made a difference? Do you think this made a difference, Maria?
Got some music going on. Well, I really don't think it made a difference because it went in one ear and out the other. You know, I don't see anything. I didn't see anything come out of it. I don't know if you saw anything, but I don't see anything that came out of it. All they did was stand off, a day or two, maybe. They didn't do a game I mean, it was a waste of time. That's why I don't really understand why, Black celebrities, they don't do more. They have the opportunity to do more, but they do more for like 5 seconds. And then that's it. You don't see or hear about them anymore. So I don't think it did anything. I don't know. I don't know what it did, but it didn't do anything as far as I'm concerned. I mean, everything is still going on. The same thing. They still killing us. I don't see no difference.
Yeah, Maria, but I got a caller on the line. She's one of our regulars, Cristal. I don't know what her question is, but go ahead, Cristal.
Well, it's not a question. It's actually just to answer the question. I agree. All of the above, because haters are gonna hate. I was watching the news earlier. There has been over 20 million cases in the United States, and by his negligence, it shouldn't have even gotten up to 1 million, and we had over 351,000 some deaths in the country last year. That doesn't even include what has happened since January 1st up until today. So because of him spending all that haterade, businesses are closing. Businesses that tried to revamp after they felt a die down, when we was in a somewhat recovery period, they had realized we didn't make enough money during that recovery period to stay alive. So, businesses are going to have to be closing. There's people still out there, that can't get any more unemployment because they said that the unemployment money is ran out.
Yeah.
So, I hate to say it like this, I know we all two boxes, so I can treat my mind. Trump was and is and always will be a jackass.
All right, Cristal, we thank you for that, and we catch you next time. Thank you.
You guys do know that a lot of people that's working in the front line, the people, the nurses, the EMT people, they're refusing to take the vaccine.
Yeah, not everybody's putting their hands up.
A lot of them that
Listen,
don't
I want to go to Tajudeen. Do you think that the players exercising their platform, do you think they made a difference?
No.
I think they made a difference to those people who look up to them. But again, those that really don't look at to athletes as leaders or whatever, it really didn't matter. Those of us we need leaders within ourselves. First, be your own leader. But I didn't look up, with the bubble thing and all that. I didn't look up to them. It's cool to take a stand, but what are you going to do after that?
Nothing.
So
they didn't do nothing.
Kinlaw,
I say that's for that moment.
Do you think they made a difference?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that there was a difference made, and I'll explain you why. A lot of times we are visual. We only speak on what we see. But if you look into it, a lot of these athletes, and I use LeBron James as one example, and Chris Paul as another, they set up registration projects to get more people registered to vote. So they use their platform that way. Unfortunately, as a celebrity, there's always going to be a question of, well, has he done enough? Have they done enough? Heck, Michael Jordan's building hospitals for underprivileged and minorities, and still there's always going to be a question of whether or not has he done enough. So I think sometimes as a celebrity, you get an unfair target on your back because they do know that you have the wealth. They do know you got the money and the platforms, and what are you doing with it? And they're still a human being at the end of the day. They don't have all the answers. They just have a much more comfortable lifestyle than we have. But I think that some of these athletes, more so now, especially with the use of social media, are using their platforms to engage with friends and peers and other people of the masses to kind of help position things the way they did. And I think they did partnership with like your Mayor Bottoms and your Mayor Whiffins and other in DC and stuff like that. To kind of, I think you had John Wall and Brandon Bill down there in the protests with the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. You didn't know 10 years ago you didn't see athletes do that. No. 20 years ago you didn't see athletes do that. And I believe 20 and 30 years ago, athletes were forbidden to even speak of such. Or you had those guys that was excluded from, like the Muhammad's out of Denver.
Yeah, there was athletes.
Or the Hodges out of Chicago. Right. You know, and even going back to the 60s, those two athletes that used the Black Power on those podiums, they was disbarred from almost all sports. Muhammad Ali was locked up for 5 years.
Right. Exactly.
So, but I think so. It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. So you are having guys like LeBron James and other guys that are a little bit more fearless because they have the way of getting their messages out to people through social media and other technologies of today's time without having being limited by the powers that be. And shout out to Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, who was being, I think, a little bit more of a player-friendly commissioner versus the commissioners of before to allow these guys to use their platform. So it's always going to be a question of whether or not if this is enough or not. But
I'm going to look at it like this, Kimber. I'm going to look at it like this. Ramel going to probably have the next question about Kaepernick. And, look what happened to him. He's still blackballed, from the NFL. And I know Ramel was talking about the NBA. I'm not really, into the sports, but, I listen to some of those things. What do you think, Ramel? I know you're going into that question.
I'd like to share something about Kaepernick.
Here's the thing, though. I wanted to go back to close out that last question before I get to Kaepernick. What these athletes are doing, you can't measure what kind of impact they have. It's not like you can just, well, this person voted because of our program. This person did this because of our program. There's no way of measuring. I believe they have made an impact. It's just that we can't measure it. And that's a downfall. But let's move on. Let's move on. Kaepernick, that's a good segue. He's been blackballed.
Yeah.
At least in my mind, he's been blackballed. But his plight against social justice, I mean, personally, I think he should be issued an apology. I mean, what we've seen last year alone, from the George Floyd, the Ahmaud Arbery, the Breonna Taylor, just to name a few. I can't think of the guy's name in the Wendy's parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
At some point, this is what he was talking about. So, Tanya, should he be issued an apology? Should he be not necessarily give his job back, but maybe should he be part of a program? Should he be hired to help the movement? Your thoughts on it? Yeah,
I really, like I said, I'm really not into the sports and stuff like I used to, but his name was out there. And, just by him kneeling and was trying to make a statement, and then to blackball him, and then, Nike picks him up. But, I mean, they picked him up with some endorsements and stuff like that, but what else can he do? They need to give him an apology. I don't even think he should even play football anymore, but I think that he should be more out in the forefront, marching, talking, whatever it is, whatever he can do to make that change. And I'm not talking about with Nike, I'm talking about basically on his own. I want to see him go out there and continue what he started when he knelt by himself. I want to see him continue that walk, and continue going on, because I think that if he does that, he will get that apology. They will look up to him, and he can make a change. But he has to continue the walk that he started when he knelt down. And I don't see it. You might see it more than me. Like you said, we can't measure it because, we can't measure that. But I think that he deserves an apology. But I would like to see a little bit more from him, to see him, continue that walk that he was doing.
Maria, should he be contacted by the Biden-Harris administration for some sort of job for a movement?
Wait, rewind, because I was gonna say something to what Tanya has.
I'm
I was gonna
asking,
hit him.
I'm
No, go
asking,
ahead.
should he be contacted by the Biden, Harris,
No, I
ministry?
don't really think that would even do anything. I mean, I don't know where he would like fit into that. I mean, I don't see any, I don't know. Maybe you guys know
I'm not
where.
thinking about a cabinet position, but maybe give him a forum or a
Listen, they
position.
need to just put a statue where they took off the Robert E. Lee statue and just put his statue there. That's it. Just take away the wheel away the Robert E. Lee statue and put Cap there,
Put
and
Cap
then we'll be happy after that. Then no more apologies. We good.
Tajudeen, your thoughts on Kaepernick?
With me, I'm tired of apologies without substance. Compensate him for the loss of wages or whatever he missed with the apology. But just to say, I'm sorry,
Right.
that don't mean a damn thing to me. Put substance back in that apology.
Can I say something? That's
Go
like
ahead.
being in jail. That's like being in jail
Or pardon somebody.
and for nothing. And
Right.
then you come home and they pay you money. They should pay him money. If they could pay these prisoners that they did wrong, they should pay him some money. Give him a couple of dollars.
Well,
That
he
would
did
be too
get
much
some
like
money.
right.
He got some money.
Like
But,
Kimball, like
Kinlaw, your thoughts?
Did he get money?
Yeah, they gave him some money.
So let me answer. So
they gave him money.
Yeah.
So let me so now that we said all that, let me tell you what really happened. First off, I don't disagree with Kaepernick's stance on how he used his platform to address the social issues that is still perpetuating our communities today. With that being said, we all have worked for some type of company or entity bigger than us. We couldn't just go and take our own personal stance on certain social issues ourselves into that company. They say what you do on your time is on you. But at the end of the day, we've all worked for a company to where, hey, listen, whether you on our grounds or not, you cannot do things that is detrimental to our brand. Okay. He is not bigger than the machine. I think the NFL did make a bad call by not standing behind him and figure out a way to help support his cause and redirect the narrative. But what happened was they looked at the majority of their fan base, which we all know what is represented that way, and decided to protect their assets versus the social awareness part of that end. I think it took them by storm, and I think they got it wrong. And I think that Roger Goodell has tried to, in a way, apologize and said that, hey, listen, I think we got it wrong when he tried to create that partnership with Jay-Z and a few other people, stuff like that, okay? Moving on from that. Now, the compensation part. San Francisco did offer him an extension paying him $14 million a year. He wanted $20 million. He walked away. Denver did try to sign him. They gave him a little bit more money offered, and he thought that still was enough. He thought he was that marquee player that deserved to get $30+ million a year. He walked away. He walked away. Now, he was out the league. He went unsigned. He later on did sue the league and won for defamation or something by the ownership. So he won $40 million from the NFL. Okay. Meanwhile, Nike, as for whatever reason, saw a way to profit off of this, and they said, "Hey, this guy is still a polarizing figure. We can use this wave as a movement and still be able to endorse this guy," because they felt the popular people still like and support. The popular people supported his movement regardless of what the league has said.
So what's going on now with him? That's what I want to know.
So he still gets paid by Nike. And he still gets paid by Nike. He has his own shoe. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what is he doing for the, since he knelt down, what is he doing to use that platform?
Well, maybe he's another Jesse Jackson. We don't know. Because we all know when you pay off, hold on, Tajudeen, hold on, wait a minute. You know what I'm talking about. But when you pay off these leaders, they tend to fall back.
Got you.
They tend not to be as hungry anymore. But that's a whole nother thing. My point of the matter is, very rarely can you sue your own company that you work for and go back and get a job.
Got you.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So it is what it is.
That's a good point. Listen, you know, we can spend hours on a year 2020 and review and reflect, but
Yeah,
we were able to touch on a few things. Before we close it out, I just wanted to go around. We'll save Tanya for last, and just take a minute to just say something about 2020, and we'll just close out that way. I was just gonna say, you know, at the end of the day, 2020 showed me that despite how bad you think you have it, you got springs underneath your shoes. The fact that you can hit the bottom and bounce back up. As far as 2020 go, it showed the courageousness of the people, the courage of people, because as I said before, our lives was compromised. Not being able to go to family gatherings, not being able to socialize like you once, not being able to work freely with your coworkers because maybe you're exercising minimum risk, but they may not. And just the fact that you got up every morning and fought through this 2020, despite what was going on, you know, it just reminded me that we do have springs under our shoes and we can bounce from anything as long as we believe and we stay courageous. Tajudeen, your final thoughts on 2020.
I started on a solemn note, but I want to end on a positive note. I want to thank all of you all on True Gossip, the panel, for you all support and you all's ideas for this whole show platform that we went through. You know, hopefully someone got some light and some wisdom from all of us, the input that we put on here. You know, it's sometimes it's tedious or whatever, where every Sunday we try to be on here and again, giving our energy, and you never know who we might touch with our ideas and our positive thoughts. And so I want to thank each and every one of you all, Ramel, Kinlaw, Maria, and the Bishop and Tanya. You know, I want to thank you all because the energy that I give out comes from the energy that y'all give me. So peace.
Well said, well said. Maria, your
I
final
can't top
thoughts.
what he said.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
I can't top what Tajudeen said. Oh, that was just beautiful, just beautiful.
Made you want to clap.
There we go.
But you know what? I don't know if I want. I mean, it's like, you know what's going on in 2020, but you don't know what's going to happen in 21. So I'm like, dang, is it really safe to go into 2021? But I'm just glad that, you know, we made it through. You know, some of us did, some of us didn't, but I'm just glad that, you know, those that did made it through is grateful. I hope they grateful, and I hope they spending them stimulus checks on the right things, pay your rent, get some food, do right by your kids. That's all I'm hoping. And I just hope that it just gets better, because I know a lot of people that's struggling.
Yes.
You know, people that's on those pantry lines. And I know people myself that's really struggling. And, you know, it's always that saying, you know, you try to live like the Joneses, and it's like a lesson learned. Can't live like the Joneses because you don't have pockets like the Joneses. And you see this situation going on. You can't, you really messed up because you were trying to live like the other person. So live by your means. This is what this should be showing you. Live by your means. And it also should show you that, you know, your family should come together. Families should really be coming together right now.
Excellent
You
point.
gotta stay with each other, or you gotta help each other pay bills. Sam put in $20 and Jesse put in another 20 and Juan put in 20, and
Yeah.
you know, you can
Excellent
pay
point.
their bill for them, you know. So, you know, 2020 should have really, you know, opened a lot of people's minds. That's all.
Excellent point. Kinlaw, final thoughts on 2020.
You know, that whole situation with Meg Thee Stallion, where she got shot in the foot, and everybody jumped on and said, "Hey, listen, we got to protect our Black women," and all those things. And I think that, you know what, it's very important to protect our Black women, but also I want to add to that, we also have to protect our Black men. This last couple of weeks, there's been 2 unarmed black men that were shot in Columbus, Ohio. And the reason why it's not getting that much buzz now is because we're in the middle of the election year and a Senate runoff in Georgia. Okay. But afterwards, it's like it's going to go back to business as usual. And for a moment, I almost continued to keep on going about life without blinking an eye. And I felt kind of bad because it's almost like I became almost desensitized to these type of heinous acts that are taking place. We should never get comfortable or desensitized to these heinous acts that's taking place. And I think that we need to do a lot more of protecting not only black women, but black men as well, because I think that is the pedestal of maintaining a strong black community. We need stronger black men, and we need our black men to live. You know, we need to get rid of the snitch culture thing, whatever. And granted, snitching is, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, even the hardest individuals, you know, have you know, got paperwork and everything like that. But, you know, we need to quit making this whole killing each other thing cool, because when we killing each other and then we getting killed by police and whatnot, the math doesn't add up. Right. At the end of the day, we lose as a whole as a community. Let's build a black community. Let's protect black men and black women.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tanya, your final thoughts on 2020, and as usual, close us out.
Yeah, my final thought is I'm thanking God that I'm here. I'm thanking to God that my family is still here. And reflecting back, remember, Ramel, we went to our cousins in the middle of the pandemic in March when we didn't even know that it was that bad. And we was in a crowded spot and we was partying and we was celebrating his 50th. And next thing we know, we on our way home, we hearing all these deaths and stuff like that, but we made it through, and not one person at that party caught coronavirus. So I'm thankful and thank God that we were able to make it through there. And not only that, we were able to come together as a family with the prayer line. And, you know, it's still going on. It's not, may not be as big as it was, but you still got people that's coming on. You know, I slacked off a little bit because of schoolwork and working and stuff like that. But I know that the line is there. I can get on and I can talk to my family. We can get prayer. And I'm just glad that it brought some of the family closer together than further apart. So that being said, I just want to say Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. I hope that this year will be a blessing to each and every one of you, health and wealth, prosperity. You know, so if you didn't catch us on this live, catch us on the other side by going to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all those podcasts that you get your favorite podcasts on, because we want to hear from you when you call us next week. 305-9421. Call us next week. We want you to hear. Peace and blessings, y'all. Have a great night.
It's not a complex.
Peace out.
Keep your mindset on the truth and the concept. It's not a contest, but